I had the privilege to help her get elected. And so did some of you here who were from down there. Thank you. Our final speaker this afternoon is Pastor Dale Ebel from Rolling Hills Community Church in Tualatin. It's a difficult thing to introduce the Archbishop and a pastor of a major church in the area, but I found something interesting on their website. Yeah, I do surf the web and have a Facebook page. One of the church's core values is being cultural change agents, to be salt in the earth. And I'm looking forward to his encouraging words today to help us be more salty. Thank you, Pastor.
A few years ago, a gal in our neighborhood came down to meet me. I've known her for a number of years. She knows that I have been and was the pastor and still am the pastor of Rolling Hills Community Church. And she and I started to interact about our position in regards to abortion. She was absolutely outraged that we would take a stand against abortion. And as she talked to me, she said, "You have no idea, Dale, of the hardship and the heartache that young women face on a regular basis. And as Christians, you are so strong to stand against something. Don't you ever stand for something?" As I looked at her, I told her, the reality is, we do stand against what is wrong and what is evil. But at the same degree, we also stand for what is right. And I began, you bet. And I began to tell her of individual families that met unwed mothers who were making the choice, should they get an abortion or not get an abortion, and how our families had opened up their homes to invite those mothers in, to care and pay for their medical expenses, to see that those women were protected. Over the years, we have been responsible to place many, many wonderful children in homes of parents that desire to adopt children. The book of Romans, in Romans chapter 14, verse 21, it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." That is absolutely true. But it is also true that we must stand for what is wrong, against what is wrong. We must stand against evil. Otherwise, we lose the precious lives of literally millions of children. You know, it's interesting, as I told her that story about what we were doing in our church, friends, her attitude, her disposition, her countenance instantly changed. She all of a sudden became receptive to me. She began to listen to me. We learn in the book of Psalm 139, how powerful God's creation is. It is absolutely amazing to see what God has done in creation. Many years ago, a young mother who had never graduated from high school, she and her husband were pregnant with their third child. Her mother-in-law insisted that she get an abortion. She said, "You are uneducated. You do not deserve another child." She ridiculed that mother. She tried to persuade that mother to get an abortion. That mom refused. She got down on her knees and she began to pray in her devotions. She sought God daily on a regular basis, and she knew without a doubt she would never get an abortion. through her prayer, through her study of the Word of God, she became convinced that the child inside of her was a baby boy. She was also convinced that that boy someday would grow up and he would become a follower of Christ and that he would serve in the ministry. She was right. She had a little baby boy. And when he was born, that grandmother refused to hold him. That grandmother refused to call him by his first name till after he was a year old. That mom stood her ground and stood for what is right. I was that boy, and my mom, who didn't finish a high school education, stood for what is right. How much more should we do the same? God bless you.